set, hut, hut.
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sounds of gold and blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 15 to 10 to 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tay Von Austin.
The Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels fear to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. It's Mountaineer pride!
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
We've no doubt tonight they shouldn't have played the old Golden Boot. Not this night!
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season. And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping the gold and blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another live stream here on the Country Roads webcast, June the 10th edition. And guess what? It's another WVU football recruiting update coming at you. Another day, another update needed because West Virginia is in fuego on the recruiting trail right now. You know, we couldn't even get through the stream yesterday without West Virginia adding a commitment. And we're going to lead off the show talking about him today. That's Cam Mallory. He came through during yesterday's live stream, but didn't get a chance to talk about him fully. So I told you guys I'd cover that one in this stream. So we had him come in. And then no sooner do I get the, uploaded to the audio side, the stream from yesterday, and we have another commit come in. And it's one that we had talked about in the past previously on the channel that I was really hoping we could get. We were trying to flip from Oregon State, knew he was coming in on a visit. West Virginia lands him. Talented defensive end Noah Tischendorf will also be talking about him. And then lo and behold, later in the day, how about adding a linebacker to the 2026 class as well in Miles Catry? So there you are, 3 more commits. Yesterday we're talking about a trio. Today we're talking about a trio. West Virginia has doubled the size of the 2026 class in about a 2 or 3 day span here. So super exciting WVU football recruiting news to talk about here as we'll update the 2026 class and take a look at each of the 3 new commitments that we're going to add to that list here throughout this front portion of the stream. Then in the back half of the show, we got a couple of WVU basketball updates to talk about. Another roster addition. Yesterday we talked about Morris Ugasuk finally being official there. They making his announcement. Now they finally made the Jaden Forsyth signing official. So now all the transfers and incoming freshmen that West Virginia has landed up to this point are all now officially signed and on the roster. So we'll update the WVU basketball roster. But they're not done yet building that hoops roster for Coach Hodges' first season. We know we're going to still add, another transfer or 2, and we have another new target to talk about there that West Virginia is going after, potential power conference transfer, potential in-conference transfers as a Big 12 guard West Virginia is targeting as well. So we'll talk a little bit of basketball here at the tail end of the show. So that's kind of what's on the docket for this one. Appreciate you guys that are hopping in here live this morning. No, doing this one early because I got to jet off to work in a bit. So some people will watch on a playback. That's cool too. If you're watching live on YouTube or on playback on YouTube, you can help us out really quickly just by sliding over and hitting that thumbs up button. It helps a ton with that YouTube algorithm, helps us find more Mountaineer fans like yourself. If you watch live on Facebook or Twitch, be sure to come over to the YouTube channel and subscribe here to stay up to date on the WVU football roster, recruiting, transfer portal. Same goes for basketball. Keep you up to date on WVU Sports World here on the Country Roads webcast. Throw your questions, comments in the chat. I'll try and touch on some of those before we wrap up the stream. But if you're watching on a playback and you got any questions or comments there you'd like to add, you can throw them in the comment section on YouTube. We appreciate that. And those of you that listen on the audio side, if you'd want to leave us a rating, that would help us out on that side of things as well, as you can find us on any podcast platform. So there we have it. That's what's on the schedule for this one. So enough teasing it. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the new commits that West Virginia has added. Let's pull up right quickly our 2026 class tracker here for these WVU football recruiting updates, because So crazy, man. Less than just, a couple of days ago or so, I guess it's about 72 hours, we could say. There were 6 commits in the class. Now we're up to 12. Just like that, doubled the size of this 2026 class. Last stream, we talked about Jalen Jones, Rhett Morris, and Samaj Hill. Since then, here on this stream, we're going to cover Cameron Mallory, the defensive lineman out of Alabama, Noah Tischendorf, the edge rusher out of Oregon, and Miles Catchery, the linebacker out of Alabama as well. So 2 of the 3 commits here actually coming from Alabama, and Noah Tischendorf was one that we've covered in the past previously, so I'm excited to talk about him as well. Another West Coast commit. West Virginia went out and got Jalen Jones from California in the past stream, as we talked about, now going out and getting Noah Tischendorf. So this staff is showing, hey, it doesn't matter where they are, wherever the good players are, we're going to go get them. Yeah, we're going to still have our pipelines, and we're still going to do good in our borderline states, but we're going to go out and get some guys from other areas. You see Emory Snyder from Oklahoma, Jet Walker from Texas, Jalen Jones from California, Noah Tischendorf from Oregon. So really going out and going and getting some good players in areas that aren't, typical, hot spots for West Virginia when it comes to recruiting. But like the way this class is shaping up right now. So let me run through the name of the 12 commits here, especially for people that are listening on the audio side that can't see the visual you guys see here on the video version. Tight end Sam Hamilton out of Ohio, running back Jet Walker out of Texas, quarterback Jaron Hughley out of Florida, defensive back Emory Snyder out of Oklahoma, defensive back Taj Powell out of Ohio, linebacker Cam Bam Bam Dwyer out of Florida, defensive back Jalen Jones, who we just recently added, first JUCO edition of the class, coming from Fresno Community College there in Fresno City, offensive lineman Rhett Morris coming from New Jersey, defensive back Samaj Hill coming from Pennsylvania, and then the 3 we're about to cover here. And let's do that now. Talk a little bit about Cam Mallory, who we had a chance to pull up his commitment graphic at the tail end of the last stream, but didn't get a chance to cover him. And I said I would do that in depth on this stream. So let's try and do that and talk a little bit about another addition to the defensive line transfers in for West Virginia here with Cam Mallory joining the fold. I was going to pull up his commitment graphic here. I thought I had it pulled up. Here it is. So here's his commitment graphic and his announcement he shared on social media. This is what we shared at the tail end of the last stream. So we'd seen this much already, but we hadn't had a chance to really look at, where he ranks, where his other offers were, and maybe take a look at a little bit of his tape as well if we got a time here. It looks like time will permit for us to at least take a look at a couple plays in that tape. So Cameron Mallory here, 6'2", 290, out of Moody, Alabama, Moody High School there, 2026 class, of course, as we're covering these recruiting updates in that class moving forward. 3-star, 87 grade, so a little bit higher than, typically has been. A lot of these been 85, 86 range, so a little bit higher grade there. And, a top 30 player in the state of Alabama, according to the 247 sports ranking there. So another one that ranks high in state. And you guys know me, that's what I always like to say, pay attention to where they rank in their state, more so than their star ranking, and pay attention to, some of their other offers as well, which if you look here for Cam Mallory, Boston College in on him, App State, Cincinnati, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Missouri, Stanford, Troy, Tulane, Vandy. So you see other multiple Power 5 programs in there after him as well. That's a telltale sign of a good football player also. So I think the offer list is impressive for Cam Mallory here out of Alabama, as we see his ranking there on 247. Let's pull up his rivals profile really quickly, and then we will take a look at a couple of his plays here on his highlight tape on Huddle from his junior season there, as he's about to go into his senior year here in the fall. Defensive tackle, 3-star, 5.5 rating on Rivals. They don't have him rated nationally or in the state yet, or in the position yet here on Rivals. But you see the similar schools after him there. So there's his Rivals profile. Let's see if we can't pull up his Huddle and see if we can take a look at his junior season highlights here and see if I can get that pulled up. It's got an ad playing, of course. And then let's skip this ad, and then I'll pull up these highlights. We'll watch a couple of plays on this tape. It's an 8-minute highlight tape, actually, he's got up here on Huddle for the junior season. So if you want to check out the full thing, you can definitely do that. But let's see a couple of plays here just to get a little bit of a taste here of Cam Mallory. And full disclosure, all of these watches of film that we're going to check out of these plays of these 3 commits I haven't watched yet. So it's going to be actual reactions here. So there he is lined up interior D-line. Wow, what a play right there. Blew up the touch pass they were trying to run. Absolutely obliterated his man and got in the backfield in a hurry. There he is getting a sack. Similarly, he just dominated the man in front of him there. So here he comes this way. Straight power rush on that one, and he just couldn't hold him. I mean, there wasn't really any pass rush moves involved on that play, and he also forced the fumble on that one. So, I mean, I think he's a lot bigger and a lot stronger than a lot of the players he's playing against. That one was just a missed assignment. Nobody touched him. He gets in there and makes the play, though. I am impressed with how he's able to make, tackles and, seemingly open field because he's getting back there so quick on these running backs here. So, a little bit of Cam Mallory. We'll watch one more here. Here he is off the edge. Let's see him come off the edge and be able to chase down the quarterback who was trying to escape contain there. That's impressive for a guy his size. So did line up on the edge there one play. I'm sure we'll be playing more interior here at the next level, but I like what I see there on film from Cam Mallory. I think that this is a good pickup for West Virginia coming out of Alabama. He's a guy that can help you. He's a guy that can help you down there in the trenches. So we like that addition of Cam Mallory, who joins the 2026 class on the defensive line. And speaking of, defensive line, he could line up as a D end. He could play a bandit, definite edge rusher, and a really, really talented one at that. You guys heard me talk about Noah Tischendorf in the past when we covered him, coming in on his visit because he was an Oregon State commit that was really highly rated in the state of Oregon that I was hoping West Virginia was able to add to this 2026 class. If they were able to get him in here and get him to, flip his commitment, and West Virginia gets him in, they get him to commit to the Mountaineers too after his visit. And you guys know when we went through that list of 30 plus names, I said, if, most of these guys make it in, we're going to have them on commitment watch. And now, multiple of those guys that we've had on commitment watch have committed to the Mountaineers, including Noah Tischendorf, who I think is one of the better pickups of this 2026 class thus far, especially on the defensive side. I like what he brings to the game. And I think one thing we've seen from this staff already in the brief time they've been here with what they've done in the portal and now what they're doing in high school recruiting, they're going to go out and get some pass rushers. They've done that with multiple guys they brought in here for this season, and they're going to do it in the future, it looks like. So let's pull up Noah Tischendorf here. Let's pull up his commitment graphic first. If I can find where I have that thing. There we are. So Country Roads, Take Me Home, committed, tagging multiple coaches there on the staff. And you see his commitment graphic as he announced his commitment to the Mountaineers yesterday. And yes, this is a flip from Oregon State. He was previously committed. Multiple flips from West Virginia in these commits that we've talked about recently as well. Staff doing a good job not being afraid to go out and target guys that are currently verbally committed elsewhere if they feel like they have a chance with them and can establish a good relationship. So let's pull up his profile here now. Here he is on 247 from Lake Ridge High School out there in Oregon. 6'3", 240. I actually think he's put on a little bit more weight since then. But when you look at the rating here, 3-star 85 grade, but a top 10 player in the state of Oregon, nearly a top 5 player in the state of Oregon, according to the 247 composite, and a top 100 edge rusher in the nation. So you like those, pick up that grade there for Noah Tischendorf, who we said, previously was committed to Oregon State, flips to West Virginia, and you see some of the other programs in on there. Is it going to close the ad? That's up there. They were in on him there, Washington State, Sacramento State, UNLV, Nevada, among others. Like I said, had committed to Oregon State back earlier in the recruiting cycle, but now after a June 6th visit to the Mountaineers, commits just a couple of days later. So there's his 247 profile. Let's go ahead and let's pull him up on Rivals here so we can look at his profile there and see how it compares. And then we will take a look at a couple of his plays on his highlight tape as well. And then we will talk about the linebacker edition West Virginia has picked up to add to this 2026 class also. All right. Whoops. That's Miles Catry. That's what we're talking about next. My bad there. Meant to, of course, we're talking Noah Tischendorf. When I'm trying to tease it up there, I pulled up the wrong page there. My bad, guys. Bear with me here. A lot of names here. Where is Noah Tischendorf's Rivals page? There we are. Okay, so see a little bit more size here, 6'3", 255. So I kind of split the difference on our commitment list and listed him at 6'3", 250 because I think 247 had him at 245 and Rivals has him at 255. So let's split the difference. Let's say he's 6'3", 250. Either way, decent size coming in there, especially for a freshman. That could potentially put him at bandit, or if they want to add weight to him, they could put him hand in the dirt. You look at what West Virginia did with Jamori Robinson, one of the best pass rushers in the portal, defensive player of the year in the American Athletic Conference. It's going to be a star for the Mountaineers on defense this upcoming season. Played a little bit more of kind of an outside linebacker role at UTSA. West Virginia brings him in for a spring and a summer, and already Mike Joseph has him up to 290. He played around 250, 260, I think, at UTSA, and he's going to play in a DN role. So, Noah Tischendorf coming in as a freshman could, bulk up in a hurry and end up being a hand in the dirt D end, or he could play bandit. But I like what he brings as an edge rusher either way. Here on Rivals, of course, he was future casted to Oregon State. As we know, he was previously committed there. They have him as a top 5 player in the entire state of Oregon. So, one of the better players in the state of Oregon is coming across the country there to come play at WVU. 3-star 5.5 grade on Rivals for Noah Tischendorf. And let's pull up his huddle page now and take a look at a couple of his plays. I think you guys are going to like what you see from his film here. All right, so here he is coming off the edge in blue there. Nice swim move, and they try to double team him, and he just, split the double team. So he gets the swim move past the first blocker, splits the double team, gets a sack. So that's how you know people were game planning against him, game planning for him, and he was still able to get things done. That's talent there. So here he is this time lined up in a more traditional line. No, this is offensive highlights, I think, when he was playing offense. He plays running back as well, I do believe. A little bit of Wildcat quarterback looks like here, breaking free and getting loose there. A little bit of a jumbo set. Here he is back on defense, coming off the edge here towards the top of the screen. Let's see him here. Another nice swim move. Really good usage of his hands here to not let the blockers, get a hold of him. And then he's able to use his speed to get around him on the edge. And then, of course, he has the running back there in pass protection trying to chip him at that point. So yet again, we're seeing him fight through a double team here. Gets right past the running back easily with a little rip move there and gets another sack on the quarterback. Here he is one more time coming off the edge. Barely touched there. I believe it was because that's a read option to style play. But, man, he's quick enough that he was able to, of course, the quarterback handed it off. But even if the quarterback would have kept that, he probably could have made the play there on the quarterback also. Here he is coming off the edge on that side again. And it's a stretch play, so he's unblocked coming from the back side. And look how quick he gets there, chasing that down from the backside on a stretch play. So much so that he's going to get a TFL on this thing, guys. That's impressive. Let's watch one more here. Coming off the edge on this side, closest to us this time. Looks like he's matched up with, is that a tight end this time? Yeah, it looks like a tight end he's matched up with this time. Fights off that block. Just a bull rush. Bull rushes him into the backfield. He's about 2 yards away from the quarterback and running back. Then throws that blocker off and makes a play for another TFL here. So that's only 30 seconds worth of this, highlight package for Noah Tischendorf. That's, 3+ minutes long if you want to check out more of it. But super impressed by him, and you can see why he's rated as one of the top players in the state of Oregon. And like I said, one of my favorite additions to this 2026 class thus far. So there's 2 of the 3 that we've got to cover here. We've covered one of the additions from Alabama there as we started with the defensive line addition of Cam Mallory. Now, how about a linebacker addition in Miles Catchery, who's also coming in from Alabama, as he announced his commitment to WVU yesterday as well, as we talk about this trio of additions, bringing the class total right now to 12 commits for West Virginia in this 2026 class, as Miles Catchery states, "Country roads take me home," committed, and you see his commitment graphic there that he shared with a picture from his visit as well. And I will say, West Virginia's not done, guys. West Virginia's not done. I would not be surprised to see more come in short order, definitely throughout this month. Like we said, we've had a big visit weekend this weekend. There's going to be more to come over the next couple of weeks or so. And Miles Catchery is one that joins us now here in this 2026 class. 6 foot 215 from Pike Road in Pike Road, Alabama. I know it seems a little bit undersized, but I think that this guy is a tackling machine from what I saw in some of the stats that I had a chance to look at. I haven't had a chance to watch his tape yet, but seems like he's a good tackling linebacker. You could put size on him, develop him, and, by the time he's a redshirt freshman, sophomore, he could be a guy that can contribute and really do some things for you in the box there in this defense potentially. Not yet rated on 247. Let's see if he has any other offers after him. Looks like West Virginia may have been his best offer here. Other programs involved: Western Kentucky, UAB, Tennessee Tech, North Alabama, Liberty, Charlotte, Arkansas State. So, this could be a case of West Virginia getting in on someone early, before other programs do. Sometimes that happens as well. And, they come out and have a successful senior season, shoot up the recruiting rankings. I'm sure he'll be getting rated in short order now that he's committed to a Power 5 program. If and when he is rated, we'll try and share his rating update there. Let's check him on Rivals, though, see if he has one there. I'm going to guess he probably doesn't there. But they have him even a little bit more undersized at 205. So somewhere between 205, 215 for Miles Catchery, the linebacker coming in from Alabama, which he's listed at Montgomery Catholic. And Montgomery, Alabama, actually on Rivals. Interesting. I thought he was Pike Road. That's what he's at on 247. But they have Air Force in the mix for him as well. I didn't see that one on the 247 list, and to go along with some of the other names that we talked about. So let's get a look, though. Let's see what we think here from a little bit of his junior season highlights here, like we have his commit 26 class commit list to go back over that one more time. Then I want to talk about a future guy that's, you guys know, has been number one on my wish list since we've been talking about him for a while. And then we'll hit a couple basketball updates before we wrap up, as we do have roster and transfer portal updates on that side. So let's take a look here. Miles Catchery's huddle tape, junior season highlights, taking a look at a couple of plays here. 6', 203. He's listed as either. They got him saying he can play outside or inside backer. So let's see what we think here from what we see on tape. This time he's certainly lined up outside, way outside on that one. Coming off the edge here. Looks like he's got pretty good speed for sure. Just absolutely burns that running back. He barely got a hand on him coming in wide off that edge to get the sack there on the quarterback. Also forced the fumble. Strip sack here for Miles Catchery. Here he is on this one, outside again. They're trying to set up a tunnel screen. He reads it. You see him pointed out early. Probably watching some film, I'd say. Saw that tunnel screen coming, and this blocker has no chance. Look where the blocker is. Look where Catchery is in comparison. He's going to blow this thing up, and absolutely does. No catch. What I like here, I've seen two plays from Miles Catchery, and he absolutely delivered the smackdown on both of these plays, man. Guy looks like a hard-hitting linebacker, especially, to be a little bit undersized. He can really deliver the boom despite that. See where he is here on this one. So here he is. Oh, man, I see him already diagnosing this and coming downhill. Looks like he's lined up a little bit more inside on this one, but he's a little bit deep there. Almost look like he's lined up almost in a safety type role here. But let's watch him come screaming downhill this time. Another good hit. And how about that one? The way that he came at him and put his helmet, right into the football, or his shoulder one. I couldn't, not able to see through the bodies, but either his shoulder or his helmet one ended up hitting the ball and popped that thing into the air. That's two forced fumbles in the first, 3 or 4 plays here for Miles Catchery. Let's watch one more here. This highlight tape's nearly 5 minutes if you want to go watch the full thing. But here he is this time. Oh, yeah, let's get a good look at him in pass coverage. We haven't seen one of those. This is a good one. You had to almost see him in pass coverage here as he's highlighted. Looks like man-to-man here. Stuck with the guy all the way, and then undercuts the throw and is quick enough to jump in front of it and get the interception as well. I'm not going to lie, guys. When you looked at the ratings, not yet being rated, and you looked at the offer list and him being a little bit undersized, you kind of are like, I don't know, what are we going with here? But then you look at him on tape there and just the, handful of plays that we just looked at, and I'm impressed by Miles Catchery. I think all 3 of these additions are nice pickups for this 2026 WVU class. So watch out for Miles Catchery, man. He puts some weight on. He could come in and really lay the lumber on the defensive side. So excited about these 3 pickups, all helping that defensive side. So here it is on screen for you guys watching the video version. All 12 verbal commitments for WVU. Ran through the names earlier. I won't run through them all, but the ones that we just highlighted here. Defensive lineman Cam Mallory, 6'2", 290 out of Alabama, who I think is going to be really good there in the interior. Edge rusher Noah Tischendorf, 6'3", 250 out of Oregon. Really like him, guys. One of my favorite additions to this class thus far, I think. And then linebacker Miles Catchery, man, maybe a hidden gem of this class after watching him on tape there. 6 foot, 215 linebacker out of Alabama. So that's what we have thus far in this 2026 class. And you guys know I've talked about some of the other targets that are at the top of my wish list, and none sits higher than the other quarterback that we're targeting. We're going to try and add 2 in this class. We already have 1 in tow in Jaron Hughley. But another one that you guys know is at the top of my wish list. We were in his top 10 when I first started talking about him before he came in on his visit prior to the spring showcase. We watched some of his tape then. We watched some more of his tape when he was listed in the top 5 for WVU. After his visit, he said West Virginia sat high in his list. We got to hope that West Virginia is still there sitting high on his list. According to Jackson Callaway here, he says Aggies have held the momentum at times in the recruitment. Of course, he's, hoping for Texas A&M to get him here. He is from Texas, so we'll have to see how it lands. Listed as a 3-star athlete currently. I think he'll be a 4-star, certainly once the senior season rolls around. You guys have seen he's a track star, very impressive track times you've seen on tape. explosive speed, would be amazing quarterback in a Rich Rod offense. And we now have his commitment day, guys, June 28th. So at the tail end of this month, we'll learn about Legend Bay, where he's going to go. You guys know he's been at the top of my wish list. I'm hoping, got both my fingers crossed, got my toes crossed, that West Virginia is in play here. But June 28th, we'll learn the status of Legend Bay. It's between the Mountaineers, Tennessee, Duke, Texas A&M, and Ohio State. They're his final five, as we've discussed previously. And if you haven't watched his film, go watch the videos where we talked about him previously on the channel, where I've shared some of it. You'll be super impressed. He would be an awesome quarterback for the future of the Rich Rod offense. So we'll see what happens with him later this month with Legend Bay. As we know, West Virginia will try and bring in another quarterback in this class to add to the 12 commits they have currently. So that's what I had on the football side, guys. Let's switch gears here. Let's talk basketball. We have a roster update and a portal update. Let's talk the new transfer target first, and then we'll get to our roster update here. So this is coming courtesy of Adam Zagoria, who I'm sure most of you guys know is a big-time basketball insider, all over social media all the time, dropping basketball news, transfer portal news, all kinds of things. He's been talking a little bit about Seton Hall point guard, Seton Hall being in the mix for Oklahoma State transfer point guard Arturo Dean. And then lo and behold, but was this yesterday, I think? Yeah, June 9th, he puts out this, shares it and says West Virginia is in the mix as well. He had talked about Seton Hall in the past. Now WVU getting in there, throwing their hat in the ring for Oklahoma State transfer point guard Arturo Dean. So we now have a new transfer target to talk about, guys. Been a little bit since we've, had a chance to talk about those. Last one we talked about didn't work out with the young man from Dartmouth. But let's pull it up here, because we now add Arturo Dean to our transfer target list. Seems like a dog's age since we've talked our basketball transfer target list, but I do think West Virginia will add another transfer to, I think they're at 11 roster spots now, right? 11 or 12. So they can add, 2 or 3 more players. I think they'll add at least a couple more. They've definitely been targeting guards, so they're going to add another guard here, probably a reserve point guard, and then we know that they need another big, so I'd expect that's at least a couple pieces they'll go out and get. And Arturo Dean is one from Oklahoma State. Would be an in-conference transfer that they're targeting. So we've added him to our transfer target list and know a little bit about him. What I love about this target for West Virginia is he is a dog on the defensive end, and that's a perfect fit for Coach Hodge, right? Somebody that can absolutely go out, get you some steals, be a lockdown on-ball defender, and it would be a great player to have as a reserve guard. Sometimes you have certain guys that are going to come in off the bench and be like microwaves for you. They're going to be your scorers, but you also need guys that can come in off the bench and be defensive specialists. So then you could also utilize them at times in game in scenarios where you need them. And Arturo Dean fits that bill, I think, 100%. 5'11", 170, native of Florida. Like I said, played at Oklahoma State last season, where he averaged 8 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists while shooting 40% from the floor, nearly a 30% three-point shooter, 69% from the free throw line. But here it is, guys. This is what I'm talking about. Look at these numbers. 2.5 steals earlier in his career, over 3 steals per game in 2023, and last season, nearly there, 2.5 steals per game again. So you look across his career, he's averaging nearly 3 steals per game in 3 years. You love those numbers. He was a double-digit scorer previously in the past, before coming to Oklahoma State in a couple of years, so he can score as well. So I think this would be a great reserve guard. Would love to see West Virginia be able to add him. We're definitely keeping our eyes on Arturo Dean and seeing what happens with it. West Virginia in the mix. Sounds like Seton Hall may be the main competition. If he wants to stay in the power conference, maybe even stay in the same conference he's in there, of course, in the Big 12, maybe West Virginia could have a leg up, but we'll keep our eyes on Arturo Dean. Other than that, we knew that the other freshman, Jaden Forsyth, was the only roster addition for Coach Hodge that hadn't been officially announced yet, and that happened yesterday as well. So let's pull that up here and go over the official announcement of the signing of Jaden Forsyth, a top 100 recruit West Virginia is able to add here as a true freshman. 6'5", coming from Brooklyn, New York. Official press release from WVU yesterday says he will be, of course, added to the roster, and we will pull up that roster momentarily. And we get Coach Hodge's statement here. Jaden is one of the best young shooters in the country, Hodge said. He has a tireless work ethic, and his character will allow him to continuously get better. We're excited to add him to our Mountaineer program. Of course, at Weston High School there in Pennsylvania, he averaged 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 1.3 steals per game while shooting 38% from three-point range. So another talented guy that can score the basketball from deep for West Virginia. So many good shooters on this roster. Ton come in via the transfer portal. Forsyth, one coming in from the high school ranks. Forsyth listed as a top 100 recruit by numerous scouting services. Played for Seth Berger and is ranked as a top 5 recruit in this entire state of Pennsylvania for the class of 2025. That's a huge pickup for the Mountaineers. And he was the only player on the EYBL circuit to shoot for more than 40% from three-point range. So when he's playing, I'm guessing that's like AAU. He shot for over 40% on more than 75 three-pointer attempts, averaged 10 points for the team final at the Peach Jam while shooting 39% from the three-point range. So another shooter the Mountaineers bring in to add to this roster, which let's take a look at that now updated and see where we stand here as we look for West Virginia to make the final additions to round it out for Coach Hodges' first season. Of course, we have forward Trayson Eaglestaff, a senior, forward Jackson Fields, a senior, guard Jasper Floyd, a senior, guard Jaden Forsyth, now listed on the roster. There's the new addition, the true freshman. Of course, one of 2 true freshmen that'll be on this roster. Then we have guard Honor Huff, a senior, forward Brennan Lorient, a senior, guard Chance Moore, a senior, center Harlan Obioha, a senior, and of course Abraham Oyadir recently added back to the roster to be another center as well, the redshirt freshman. And then the other true freshman, DJ Thomas, a forward. And then we just recently talked about last stream guard Morris Ugasuk on the roster as a junior. So a lot of this guys that you see on the roster now, I think will be the key contributors for the most part. Save for maybe the freshmen. I think Forsyth will play a decent amount. I don't want to say a ton. We'll wait and see how much DJ Thomas factors in. But I do think that the guard and the big man that West Virginia add to round out this roster, whether it's the young man Arturo Dean that we're keeping an eye on now, and then whatever big man West Virginia goes after, I think they'll both get some playing time. So I don't think you have all of the minutes necessarily on the roster for WVU basketball yet, but you have the main rotation. You have your starters, some of your key reserves, save for those last couple of pieces. But we'll see how it shakes out. We'll keep you guys up to date on the WVU basketball roster and portal updates moving forward. And, of course, any other WVU football recruiting updates, like I said, that's going to be a hot and heavy topic throughout these summer months. West Virginia going to remain to roll in these commitments moving forward, I think. But appreciate you guys that hopped in here live. Take a swig of my coffee, get to some of your all's comments, and then we'll wrap up this stream here for the June the 10th edition. A lot of great news here for WVU on the football side and basketball side, both for that matter. But appreciate you guys watching live on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. Those of you on Facebook or Twitch, be sure to come over to the CRW YouTube channel, subscribe here to stay up to date on the WVU sports news, and hit that thumbs up button if you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching live or on the playback. That helps us out with that crazy YouTube algorithm, helps us find more Mountaineer fans like yourself. And with that being said, we'll take a swig of my coffee, catch up on some of your all's comments, and we'll call it a show. All right. Devil Dog 44, good to see you as always. Let's go. Larry Westfall, good to see you, man. Let's go Mountaineers, Larry says. That's right, boys. Y'all got the right sentiments. Devil Dog says we're going to start seeing more talent from non-traditional recruiting areas. Rich Rod has a journeyman resume and turned over a lot of racks looking for guys. Good point. Not only is he, but then I think we have a lot of coaches that have ties to a lot of different areas that have been all over as well. And that's why you're going to see us say, hey, if there's a really good player and we have ties to that area and we feel like we can go get him, let's do it. And we went out and gotten a guy from California. We went out and gotten a guy from Oregon, a guy from Texas, a guy from Oklahoma. So, we're not afraid to venture out. And like you said, I think that's going to happen. And let's not forget the last time they were here, they were reeling in some really big prospects. And I think they're going to do it again here moving forward. And we're going to continue to keep an eye on that for sure. So let's see here. 2026 for the guys that we talked about in this stream. We did do a stream talking a couple of 2027 targets a few days ago, but 2026 for the ones that we're talking about here. Over the past couple of streams, Larry. Drumwolf says, is it me or is Rich Rod more aggressively recruiting athletes than Neil Brown ever did? Seems like it early on, man. Seems like it early on. And I think track record shows that, Neil Brown's not Neil Brown, excuse me. Rich Rod's a better recruiter than Neil Brown, rather. Because, you look at just what he's done throughout his career, whether it's finding the hidden gems at areas when he's had to do that, like he did at Jack State last season, or, doing that in some manner at WVU, but then going out and getting big names. Jason Gwaltney, very high-rated recruit. Noel Devine, super high-rated recruit, on down the list. I think he does a good job of it. He's not messing around, as Drumwolf said. That's right. Piss is still volcanic hot. Just like the recruiting class is hot because the coaching staff's hot, is pissed going out here and getting some of these guys, right? Coach staff's pissed is hot as well. Getting that hard edge talent. I like the way you put that, Drumwolf, for sure. As Devil Dog agrees, says that Drumwolf is not just you. Everything about Rich Rod is more aggressive than Neil Brown. Yes, I would agree. I would agree for sure. And I think that's I got Devil Dog here said, as long as we don't lose out on Legend to Duke, I feel like to be in the mix with the other schools is huge. Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with that 100%. A lot of big name, blue blood type schools. West Virginia's in the finalists for the really talented 2026 quarterback Legend Bay, who, I'll say it a million times here on the channel. I'll echo it one more time before we wrap up. Number one on my wish list in this recruiting class, but I'm not going to be heartbroken either if he doesn't commit to the Mountaineers, because guess what? We all know, one thing. We just talked about multiple commits that were committed elsewhere and now flipped to WVU. It's a long time from June to December when a lot of these guys will sign on the dotted line on early national signing day. So just because a guy verbally commits elsewhere, we also know it's not over necessarily. But Legend Bay did have West Virginia high on his list, he said, following his visit. So I've got a good feeling about it, low-key. Maybe it's just because I'm trying to will it into existence because I like him so much. But definitely, to be in the mix with the Blue Bloods we're in just shows yet again we're swinging for the fences for some really big prospects in this 2026 class. And we've already got some really good ones in tow. Noah Tischendorf that we've covered in here. I like him a lot. And then Jet Walker. I think the running back that we have committed in this class is super, super talented. So this 2026 class, I think when it's all said and done, we'll really like the way that it shakes out, and we'll continue to cover it every step along the way, just like we'll keep you up to date on Ross Hodges' roster as he assembles it for his debut season and all the fun offseason topics we got to cover into the lead up to both the football and basketball seasons. Appreciate you guys that came in here live for this morning stream and threw in your comments there in the live chat. If you didn't get a chance to tune into this one live, you're watching after the fact, throw them in the comment section. Appreciate those interactions as well. They help us grow the CRW community throughout Mountaineer Nation. And I'll be back shortly to talk to you guys about some more WVU football recruiting updates. I feel like that is definitely in the cards. So be on the lookout. Probably another stream coming tomorrow to talk more WVU football recruiting or any other else West Virginia sports news that pops up. Of course, we'll cover that. But I'll be back to chat with you guys again in the very near future. Always appreciate you guys. Until next time, let's go Mountaineers.